Lovely.
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's pretty lovely.
Yeah.
All righty then. I guess I'll just start recording. Here we go.
The Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt is funded by patrons like you and me. Each month I pledge $1. Being British, I had no idea what a dollar was, so I stayed up for hours researching and discovered that it is about 62 pence. To pledge 62p, or perhaps even more, go to patreon.com/acedetect.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, August 5th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today again on a Wednesday, post-nerdtacular, back in the house, Mr. Scott Johnson. How are you?
Hey, we missed you last Wednesday. I hope things were nice in beautiful Seattle. I guess I saw you in between then and now, so it doesn't really matter, but it's because I know you did well.
Yeah, in fact, what I've been working on when I go away for these weeks, and I've got one more week to go away on, posted. You can go watch it on MSN. Just look at my Twitter feed, find it. But it's 3 of the episodes. They're little 3-minute vignettes called Connected Tech are out there. So,
well, it's good. I had a great time with you this weekend. It was wonderful to see everybody.
Spectacular was fantastic, man. Thanks again.
It was, you bet. And having you there was made it all the more fantastic. The live DTNS was a huge hit. Just a great time all around. And thank you everybody who came and saw us on Current Geek and everything else. We'll talk more about that on Friday. But what a great turnout. What a great bunch of people, and just what a good time.
Nerdtacular 2016 tickets going on sale.
I'm not going to think about that for a
Oh, man, I know. I just realized I was about to give you nightmares with that joke. So let's move on to the headlines. Recode reports Facebook has added a live streaming app to its app Mentions. If you're like, wait a minute, I don't have this app Mentions. What is this app Mentions? Oh, it's for influencers. Thousands of influencers use Mentions. The app is meant to help famous people understand Facebook. Notifications of live streams will show up for the common people if they have recently interacted with a celebrity's Facebook page, maybe leaving a comment, doing a like, or if you just stream a lot of video. You may see a link show up in your news feed there. Don't forget, Facebook auto-plays videos and counts any video that plays for 3 seconds or more as a view, or as Hank Green calls it, a lie.
A dirty, dirty lie.
Yeah, so Hank Green, YouTube creator extraordinaire, one of the Green brothers that founded VidCon, he has a great Medium post talking about how Facebook's touting all these videos, but when you count a video as a view after 3 seconds, a lot of people don't even realize the video is playing in the first 3 seconds.
Yeah, when it's auto-playing like that, I've often wondered about that too, and it's nice to have some confirmation on those numbers, but when I'll be scanning through something on Facebook, I'm not necessarily even looking at the video. I'm maybe reading the post above or below it, and 3 seconds are going by, and it's within the autoplay sort of view. I guess they're counting that, but I'm not actually watching it. So.
And honestly, this Facebook live streaming thing, I got no problem with it. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
The whole influencers peddling to influencers thing makes perfect sense to me within the world of Facebook. That's where you're going to sell ads. I don't love it. You know, I like to have a more egalitarian playing field, but Facebook's never been like that. So, sure, why not? Facebook should try some live streaming.
One would hope they're going to start that way, and then eventually Tom and I can get our own Facebook streaming page. And
you know, I don't even want it. If I wasn't good enough for you now, Facebook, talk to me later. Maybe I'll want it later. I don't know.
Well, Google announced today that it's going to introduce a monthly security update for all Nexus devices. That's good news. 9 to 5 Google reports that the first update rolls out today for the Nexus 4, 5, 6, 7, Nexus 9, Nexus 10, and Nexus Player. Google says it will guarantee major updates for 2 years and then security patches for 3 years total, which is really good. Samsung also announced a newer, faster pace for security updates for its Galaxy devices, which will arrive about once a month, which is also pretty good.
Yeah, some people can complain that 2 years isn't enough for guaranteeing updates. Certainly, this is an attempt to make sure that Android platform stays more secure, so I applaud that. All of this is the shakeout of mobile popularity skyrocketing, and so now the malware makers are targeting that platform, and so we have to see moves like this. And the fact that the mobile platform is just now maturing. I think in maybe 4 or 5 years, you'll see operating systems supported much farther. 2-3 years will seem short by that point. But it's just that, a 3-year-old device is so much farther behind a current device than a 1-year-old device.
Yeah, I agree. And I wonder if Apple maybe is enjoys a different problem here because they have this crazy number that they always tout. They're like, okay, we just released an iOS update, and already 85% of users are using it.
Well, when you own the hardware and the operating system, it's easier to force that stuff out there.
Absolutely. But I guess it takes them out of having to say, and yes, we're still supporting the 3GS these many years later, because they figure they've got enough numbers on their side to say, well, clearly we need to be supporting the 85% who have already upgraded. And so in a way, their closed system, which works against them in so many ways, maybe serves them in that one.
Engadget reports Intel announced its first 6th-generation Skylake-based 14-nanometer processors, the Core i7-6700K and the i5-6600K. Both can be overclocked. That's what the K in the name means. The i7-6700K is $350, and the i5-6600K comes in at $243. And Antec says the 6700 saw a 5% performance gain over the i7-4790K and a 19% gain over the i7-4770K. Those are both Haswell processors. Intel also announced the new Z170 chipset for Skylake. That features support for DDR4, Intel's new HD 530 graphics, as well as 16 PCI Express 3.0 lanes. That's some good fast stuff. You can support some extra solid-state drives that way, maybe. More details on the rest of Skylake's lineup will come at the Intel Developers Forum on August 18th, although a lot of that has been leaked credibly out there already, and they're expecting a launch of the full line sometime in Q3.
Pretty good jumps on performance on those. I guess I'm pretty happy to see that, but I'm continually unhappy to see that Intel has still terrible naming conventions for their chips. I kind of wish they were less nebulous and confusing.
You mean Skylake or i7-6700K?
Kind of all of it. I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just a branding thing. I remember the good old days when you could say I had a Pentium 60 and you knew what the crap you were talking about.
It's a Skylake. I just need to get someone to sing their announcements.
Better than lollipop or fried chicken. How about this one? 9 to 5, Google reports YouTube will no longer freeze views at 301 plus while it verifies the views are real. I was just complaining about this yesterday because I put up a fake trailer for the World of Warcraft movie that we premiered at Nerdtacular, and for most of the day it said 300 plus 1. I'm like, well, that usually is a sign that things are going a little bonkers and I want to see where we're going, and I couldn't see it. Well, instead, it will only count views it can be sure are real, meaning numbers. Real meaning these numbers may climb slowly or won't pause. But in other words, they want to show numbers that seem accurate. They're relatively full views of the video, and you're not going to have to wait around all day for their algorithm to sort of uncache it all and figure out what they actually got before you see it. And I think this is really good for some of the higher level YouTubers who do, their business is based on we've got to hit 300K views of this or we're in trouble if it doesn't do it in 5 days. They can do a lot better matrix with this, so I think it's good.
Yeah, so they'll check if you're a real person in real time, and if the view looks suspicious, they won't add it to the count. They'll hold it while they determine whether it seems to be a real view, and if it does turn out to be a real view, they'll add it later.
Yeah.
So it's not like you'll miss the count. It'll just keep the count moving instead of pausing like that.
What's funny is I weirdly feel like I'm going to miss it as a thing I expect to see.
You're getting sentimental for the old days already.
The old YouTube days.
You were just complaining about it, and now you're already sentimental. That's amazing.
I'm part of the problem, Tom, not part of the
Also, my wife works at YouTube. Reuters reports that China's Ministry of Public Security will set up network security offices in major internet companies. Deputy Minister Chen Jimin said the authorities want to, quote, catch criminal behavior online at the earliest possible point. The government published a draft cybersecurity law last month consolidating its control over data. The law strengthens user privacy protections and increases government powers to obtain records on and block dissemination of private information deemed illegal.
So it seems like they're just beefing up what they already were doing, right?
Yeah, well, they're putting government officials inside private companies, which is something that just seems crazy if you're from the United States. But the idea is that they want to protect citizens' privacy and also make sure that nothing that the government doesn't want to go on the internet goes on the internet.
No, so it's kind of like having imagine a marshal on an airplane, like a mandatory marshal for security on an airline full of people. It seems like that kind of idea. I wouldn't. Obviously, I feel like the intention's very different. It's all very, I don't know, Big Brother and everything. But I wonder if they'll be welcomed as a company just going to. I guess they have to. It's the law.
Yeah, they will be.
Come on in. Here's your. Well, I mean, would they give them their own cubicle? Like, what do
I
we...
kind of don't have a choice. I'm guessing.
All right.
It's the government's sending them in there, but yeah, this is what they do.
There, we're okay. I just want to put it out there that it sounds crazy to me, but it's okay.
Yeah,
I know.
It's different. It's different.
Yeah. When we get to Firefly Times, we'll all agree on something. It's fine. Reuters reports Facebook launched a new feature that lets businesses now add a send message button to ads to allow users to send private messages. So if a user posts a comment on a company's Facebook page, that a company can privately message that user, so they can kind of get directly in touch. Users will be able to block private messages from businesses, and those companies that respond to 90% of messages within an average time of 5 minutes, they then get a badge on their page that says, very responsible to messages. So there you go. I'm trying to imagine again. They're creating a new layer, it feels like to me, of we're not going to send people to your website anymore. It's kind of like Google's plan to have, buying right in the ads, and others are trying to do this too. But they just want to put this new layer in that says, don't bother going to Sony.com as an example. Just talk to a customer service rep right here, or get in touch with somebody about sales right here, and eliminate these extra steps for buying, for service, for whatever. Part of me really likes that. Part of me is annoyed by that because I don't feel like I want to let Facebook be that layer. But I don't know. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, we've talked a couple times this week about social networks sort of undermining the way the web is supposed to work and the freedom and decentralization of that. And I don't like things to continue that way. On the other hand, saying, hey, a company can earn a very responsive to messages badge, and so I know that, hey, that's a good company. That's more consumer information for me, and I'm all for that. So I wouldn't say that don't do this feature, which is a good thing, improving communications between businesses, because I hate everything else. Let's fix the other problem first, and then stuff like this will be great. I would prefer this be a decentralized system, right, where it's not just Facebook, but there's a way that businesses can use the internet and the web to do this all over, and you wouldn't have to go to Facebook to take advantage of it.
It'd be interesting to talk to somebody in like chief operations position who would tell us, is it a big deal when these things come up? They're kind of not forced on them, but new innovations come up, and they're like, oh, Twitter. That's the thing. We better have somebody on every day responding to questions, or we're going to look bad. And if we're not quick about getting back, here's Facebook. We got to have somebody doing that. Maybe it's the same person. Maybe it's no big deal.
Well, and in some cases they're overdoing it. Yesterday we ordered some food. We started to order some food from an app called Postmates, and we got blitz charging because it was a busy time. And then even when we gritted our teeth and let's try it, it was taking forever to find a driver that would bring us our food, and so we canceled. And Eileen on Twitter just said, yeah, it didn't really work at Postmates, trying something else. And then the Postmates people were like, what can we do? What can we DM us? We want to help. And we're like, no, you can't really help that. The service, we'll try it again later. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I feel like they all have to be dancing all the time now.
Yeah. You can't make more drivers appear and then lower your blitz pricing. That's just not going to happen.
Where's our eBay rating? Where's our Better Business Bureau rating? Oh no, our Twitter rating's down. It seems like a lot to manage, and it's starting to cost companies more is all.
Ars Technica reviewed the new DJI Phantom 3 Standard. It costs $200 less than the Phantom 3 Advanced, but you have to give up downward-facing camera, the Lightbridge video downlink that lets you do live streaming, and GLONASS support, which is the Russian-based GPS-like system, and that would give you added accuracy. It doesn't matter whether you're in Russia or not. It does have a better camera with 2.7K support and longer range and battery life than the DJI Vision 2 Plus. That DJI Vision 2 Plus is $200 cheaper. So pretty much the DJI Phantom 3 Standard at $800 and available today is perfect if you have exactly $800 to spend.
Well, that's a pretty good deal. I'm not gonna quibble with that. Actually, that you kind of got me interested. It's funny though. I couldn't hear you read this without thinking about that prison story that I read on the morning stream this morning about drugs being.
Oh right, yeah.
Prison yard. And 9 people in solitary confinement now as a result. And man, every day, I swear, we're going to hear about new ways to use your $800 Phantom that you hadn't thought of before, perhaps illegally. So there you go.
Quadcopter responsibly, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we're saying.
That's all we're asking. Reuters has an advanced copy of a report from an Australian Senate committee that will recommend treating digital currencies as money. This simplifies taxes while forcing Bitcoin exchangers to monitor customers for money laundering and, of course, terrorism. The changes would bring Australia in line with the UK, Spain, Canada, and Singapore. The report also calls for Australia to change its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism finance laws to include all digital currencies, and that would include Bitcoin and any others that crop up.
Yeah, in more Bitcoin news, LOT Polish Airlines now accepts Bitcoin in payment for airfare. Payments are being handled by Polish payments platform PSP. Say that 10 times fast. Poland offers more NFC and Bitcoin payment options than anywhere else in Europe, according to TechCrunch. Air Lituanica and Air Baltic also accept Bitcoin. So Bitcoin making strides, especially in buying airline tickets in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm always asking you more questions about Bitcoin than I'm probably allowed to, and I still don't completely
It's like a furry rainbow that you lay across a lake of fire. Does that help?
Got it. And if I have a Sony PSP, wait, now I've really screwed it up.
Now, what were you going to say?
It's just so confusing to me, and I know it is to common people. So to be able to say that, yes, you can buy airline stuff with this, to me that implies that it's part of a credit card or it's part of some other way of me conveniently doing a thing at a desk at an airport. Is it that easy now that I can just pull up that stuff? I guess it is there, but to me it just still seems like magic.
So when you use a credit card, what do you pay that credit card with?
You mean later after I get billed?
Yeah.
I pay it with money from a bank.
Right. What kind of money?
Paper money. Sometimes.
What denomination? What currency?
Dollars. American.
When you go overseas to Europe and they don't take dollars, what do you do with it?
I converted it into euros or into.
Okay. Now imagine there's a place called the internet where you can convert your euros and your dollars into something called Bitcoin.
So you're saying because in my head and everyone at home's laughing at me but this has always been hard for me.
This is our shtick, right?
Bitcoin to me was never a thing I could convert into, and you're telling me yes, I can. I can convert into Bitcoin. Yeah,
exactly. It's just another currency.
Okay, so you look at it that way, it makes sense. So it's like dong or yen or anything else.
Right.
Okay. All right. Can I make one tiny request?
Sure.
How about Japan drop the yen altogether and go Bitcoin? Because I don't think
that's what they were talking about in Greece.
Oh, really?
In Greece, they were like, there was a movement. It didn't get too much traction, but people were like, well, if we leave the euro, let's just adopt Bitcoin.
Well, the reason I'm arguing it for in Japan is I don't think I should have to buy a pack of gum for 60 billion yen. That's all I'm saying.
Well, sure.
Let's make a more reasonable number, Japan.
Doesn't it make you feel rich, though?
A little.
Like, wow, I could just throw 60 billion on a pack of gum. I'm a rich man. All right, let's get to some news from you. Actually, we've already gotten to several. The Polish lot story was one. Lots of people submitting great things on our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. HotBranch sent us this one, the TechCrunch report that on Tuesday, Netflix announced expanded maternity and paternity leave for all employees. Policy allows parents to take as much time as they want during the first year after a child's birth or adoption. Parents can then return part-time, full-time, or kind of come and go as needed. Today, Microsoft also announced that all 12 of its parental leave weeks will be paid now instead of just 8 paid and 4 not, and mothers can also take 2 weeks of leave before mothers still get an additional 8 weeks of paid maternity disability that previously existed.
It's pretty awesome, actually, and I noticed it came right, like the Netflix announcement came right after their earnings stuff. Is there any reason why you say that stuff after an earnings call rather than before? Do people speculate on that, or is it just happened to be the order they did it in?
Yeah, there's lots of reasons. Sometimes something that's giving an employee benefit might seem like a detraction to investors, I guess. So maybe you hold it until after the earnings call's over, and you let the investor fallout happen. I don't know.
Like it's like Blizzard saying, "Yeah, we made all this money," and then right after saying, "Oh, and we're giving everyone a free."
Or it could be totally unrelated, and HR was just not ready to announce it until now. That's also perfectly likely.
Absolutely.
Habichuelacondulce.
Thank you. That was not even close to what I was going to say. Send us the Verge report about the Grava camera. This is Graava. Is that spelled right? I guess so. Which, like the TomTom Bandit, uses data from sensors to edit your video for you. Robots are taking over. Grava uses data from the microphone, accelerometer, GPS, and even third-party heart rate monitors, then makes edits that match the beat of your favorite song. So, I don't know, let's stick one in there. Let's say something new from that there, Katy Perry, all right?
Or Major Lazer, right, sure.
90-year-old when I said that. Anyway, then they can sync the footage from multiple Grava cameras. First units will ship in early 2016. You can pre-order this Grava camera starting today at $249. I can see a pretty fun use for this because if you've got, let's say, 3 of those to 5 of those, and all your friends filming the same content and then putting that stuff and syncing it all in, you basically made a pretty good upload to send to your friends or put on YouTube and not worry too much about basic editing. So it seems like
I was about to say that I personally just don't see the use of this, and you just sold me.
Yeah.
Like going to something like Nerdtacular or
Yeah.
Dragon Con or Comic Con and
Yeah.
just shooting things and having this thing go through and go boom. Here we think is the best parts.
Mhm.
If it actually works pretty well, love that.
Well,
Love
what I'd like to see, and tell me if you think this is crack smoking, because I don't think it is. Someone just needs to make an app that works on smartphones, so everybody with that app on their Android or iOS phone or whatever phone they've got can go to an event like that, film it in this same sort of way, and then somehow have all that footage go to some server and some group. Somebody controls the group photo or the group video or whatever and does this same thing.
Well, that's like Google Auto Awesome.
Yeah, that's true. But you basically have a killer app. I mean, that is an amazing idea. It's like
And it's called Google Plus.
Imagine Periscope, but done as if it's being filmed in an audience with a bunch of.
That's one of those statements I'm always hesitant to make because I'm not entirely unconvinced that app doesn't already exist.
Good point.
So, well, all that says to me is, hey, if you know of an app that does that really well, let us know.
Yeah, send it in. It'll be your pick.
Yeah, exactly. And that is a look at the headlines. So for our discussion story today, we're going to use an email. I love doing this. I love when you guys send us an email that is just so thought-provoking that it can engender a good discussion. And we got one from Tyler, a.k.a. TG Stellar. He says, in a comment on an article I posted last week about Macs are up, iPads are down, listener J.D. Blake commented, computer literacy is literally dying. I don't think he used literally. We'll let that one go. Computer literacy is literally dying due to iPads and other tablets. Your kids are going to suffer in the business market. He says, I wonder if you can comment on this. You've previously addressed the place of teaching basic computer and or website coding to students, and I think it was Patrick Beja who advocated for teaching computer online etiquette and privacy awareness to young people. The question lands somewhere in the middle. Should people continue to learn how to use a computer, mouse and keyboard, file folders, windows, etc., even if tablets, smartphones, and other touch-based mobile devices supplant the computer as the dominant language of interactive technology? Recent generations do not know how to use rotary phones or typewriters, and future generations may come to see voice-activated and intelligent technologies like Siri or Cortana as the standard way of interacting with the technology and the Internet. Is there anything unique to the computer experience that is valuable in a timeless way that should not be lost amid the march of progress?
I love this question. It just really got me going today when you popped this over and we were discussing, maybe how to talk about this today. It reminded me immediately of a typography class I took in college. And as we know, this day and age, you don't make anything for printing or publishing that isn't on computers. And one day, even that printing part of it, all the publishing, may not even be what we think of it as even today, and we may have the same discussion down the road about whatever technology takes over completely from printing if it isn't already here. And I'll never forget walking through. We went through this old printing company and looked at all the old presses, and they had lead letters that were all lined up and hand placed on these giant racks, and they had we learned that leading, a term used in Microsoft Word or any kind of publishing programs, that actually literally means how many slices of these pieces of lead do you put between your lines, and how do you create your space, and like all of these terms we use today when we do publishing or we do any kind of word processing.
Typeface, typesetting, font.
Exactly. All that stuff is based on these physical items, these physical tools, and these skill sets that in theory are going away. And so I was really grateful for an opportunity to go see all that stuff, even at a time when that had all already shifted, and be able to play with it, make some things with it, know that everything was backwards. That was the other thing, is everything's reverse with a lot of the headlines and stuff, so you had to kind of be smart about that. How there are not typos in every old newspaper, I don't know. Like, it was a real skill, a lot of talent involved, and a lot of intricacy, and just tons of ink and crap all over you all the time. Like a very dirty job. It's completely different now. So the question is, This same question to me, I apply to that and say, well, is there going to be a time where there's value in saying, other than just historical interest, in teaching people as they grow up or go to school, this is how publishing used to be. This is how typewriters used to work. This is how you used to have to change the tape out. This is how hard it was to hit the keys. None of this is relevant to anything you'll do in your professional life moving forward or creative life, but we're going to teach you that stuff anyway. And honestly, Tom, I don't actually know, because I think it's a big, giant shifting timeline, because at some point you go far enough back, nobody needs to teach me how to do cave drawings. I'm interested they existed, and I want to know who did them, but you don't need to teach me how to do it. What's the difference between that and learning how to use a tablet now, or a PC in the 90s, or whatever it is going to, a VR headset in the 2015, 2018 range? To me, it just seems like literally a big timeline that just keeps moving forward, and we try to capture as much as we can in there, but isn't that always a fluid view? It's never gonna just be everything. We can't do everything.
Well, I see this as, I could take this question two ways. If the commenter meant you have to learn to use a mouse and a keyboard because when you get in the business world, they're not going to let you use tablets, that's as silly as someone when we were growing up saying, well, you should stop playing around with your computers and learn how to use a typewriter because when you get in the business world, they're going to, it's just dumb. Like, no, tablets are being rolled out to enterprise constantly in greater numbers than ever. Going into a job interview and saying, oh, I grew up using a tablet is not going to be a negative in the future. There's always a process whereby the tools that we are using are changing, and they're rapidly changing. So I don't think the question is, should you train on the tools that have been used for the past 10 years? The question should be, are you able to understand the tools that are available and understand how they work? And if that's what the commenter meant, which I could see it being that way too, saying, if you're using a tablet, you don't really have to get under the hood and understand how it works at all, unlike our old Windows and even old OS 10 machines, where you kind of had to understand how the computer worked and the metaphors of that, and there's something being lost. I can see that a little more. Mm-hmm. There's an upside to that too, though, right? It also means that these so-called computer literacy skills, if we're talking about computer literacy, meaning like I know how to launch Word and use a laptop mouse, those are kind of ephemeral skills. Like they're means to an end skills, and they can be supplanted by something else. In which case, we don't need to retrain people as much if we have easier technology to use. If tablets and smartphones make it easier for folks to pick up technology and use it, which it is proving to do, then that is an overall net good for business, because you don't have to spend time training people on how to use Windows 95 anymore. You just give them an Android tablet and they go, oh, I just touch this and do this. Great, I'm in. I know how this works. So I think it shouldn't be about tools particularly. It should be about teaching people computer literacy in understanding this is how a computer works. This is why it makes mistakes when software does this and that. This is a way to think about how a computer works to help you solve and troubleshoot when the computer doesn't do what you want.
Sure. And history, having some history of where stuff came from and how it evolved, and knowing that, well, folders on a desktop, or even calling it a desktop, is because we have other real-world things that mimic that, or they are metaphors for, like an actual desktop or a folder that used to have paper in it. It's easy for us to move those things forward. I remember back in, the DOS days, well, even before that, people were using nothing but keyboards as input devices for computers at the time, people's Apple IIs and their, whatever, their XTs and stuff. And right around the time the mouse happened, I was still junior high, I guess, and I remember very distinctly voices around me, people I knew, mostly adults, who said, if this mouse thing takes off, kids today aren't going to have, and I don't know what the words were, but basically aren't going to have good computer literacy, because the keyboard was this powerful. Right.
They aren't going to know the keyboard shortcuts.
Right. And keyboard fluency was a very valued thing. I think it still is today. A lot of Unix and Linux people would tell you that. But the idea that the mouse was going to come along and dumb down the process for the rest of us was very, very pushed down my throat. It was going to be this thing that made stuff too easy. Well, I think we could probably all safely look at the mouse, maybe just behind the processor itself, and say it might just be the most important innovation in computing history. We may be able to look back 20 years after touchscreens do whatever they're going to ultimately do and say that about those. I don't know. But that's kind of the point.
I think that's a great example, because what I would say to that, if I could go back in time, is don't not teach the kids to use the mouse. Just make an extra effort to teach them what the keyboard can do, so that they understand when it's actually faster to use the keyboard versus the mouse, and don't get mouse dependent. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying in all of this. And I think all of these efforts to teach kids to code are sort of headed in that same direction, which is teach kids to understand how computers work.
Sure. And if you want to take it, the other thinking I had, let's take it into another area and give us a comparison that maybe takes us out of the rigid computer thinking, which is, it's not really all that different than any other part of life. We innovate, we add to previous ideas, we innovate and iterate until we come up with something better, and then we move forward with that. And you want to have people have an a historical perspective on things that have come before. I think that's important, and that should always be taught. There's a reason history is taught generally, no matter what the history. But if you're a car mechanic and you want to go into working on cars, if you want to have a distinct advantage in today's marketplace, you better know how to work on today's cars. That doesn't mean you can't appreciate a Model T. It doesn't mean you can't appreciate a 67 Corvette. It doesn't mean any of those things. In fact, the more history, the better. But if you're talking about practical literacy in today's automotive mechanics and so on, they need to know how to work on a 2007 Civic and a 2012 Lexus. And they need to know that they're much more computerized, and these chips do different things, and some of this stuff's connected to the internet, and they need to know how the engines now are timing, and how new gas technologies and hybrids work, and all this other stuff.
And whether they know how to use a keyboard and a mouse or a tablet doesn't matter.
No, it really.
That's not the point there.
Yeah, exactly. And so my entire point is, and I always try to think this way, because as you and I get older, as generations just below us get older, and those ahead of us get older, there is this tendency to go, new stuff. They don't know how, the way we used to do it. And it seems so stereotypic, but it really is just a natural thing humans do. And I fight it because I just know that mouse that still confounds my mom in some ways is the single most important thing I ever had in my hand for the last, my entire life when it comes to computers.
Absolutely.
Who's to say a VR headset is not going to be the same thing for some kid who's growing up now? I look at it and I'm a little afraid of it. So
some kind of magic leap neural interface, right? That right now what happens is, the older you get, the slower you get at picking up new things. And so as new interfaces come along, you see it as another annoying thing you have to spend a lot of time learning, and you want to stick with the old way and justify the old way as better somehow. That's essentially what goes on there.
Yeah, and to throw a very positive spin on all of this, the nice thing about what's happening is because before we kind of went from nothing to punch cards to giant things, but then things kind of got more complicated, because then it got into the hands of older people, and they had to try to figure it out and make sense of it. If anything, we're now going the other direction, so that my mom does know how to use a touchscreen. Not a problem. They can pick up a tablet and go, yep, I know what to do. I can use this phone.
And that helps digital literacy. That expands digital literacy when people can pick up something and use it right away instead of having to spend a lot of time learning it.
That's entirely my point. So I think that commenter, it's hard to get exactly where their head's at, but I think that they're not seeing the full picture, and that there is way more benefit to us refining and iterating than there ever is to us sticking, the idea of just sticking to some old way to make sure that it's, that there's some literacy that I'm not sure even exists. It's this moving target, and we need it to be a moving target. If it stays static, then there's nothing. We're not improving better stuff.
If you're actually interested in digital literacy, check out digitalliteracy.gov. It is an online resource with links out to places to learn basic computer skills, even things like Windows operating system training, using Creative Aging Toolkit for libraries. There's all kinds of good stuff there that you can help people of all ages improve their literacy. So we'll have a link to that in the show notes as well. Our pick of the day comes from Rob, executive producer, T-shirt purchaser, and Hitchbot mourner. Aren't we all? We're still cheering. They're saying they might bring it back to the U.S. after they figure out how to fix it. Aussie Rob, enjoying gray, not-so-summery Maidenhead today while playing with things for the BBC, says, just wanted to pass on a suggestion for an excellent Google Chrome extension that stops the browser from hogging processor and memory. That's music to a bunch of people's ears. It's called The Great Suspender, Any tabs that have been sitting unused for a user configurable amount of time are suspended. When you come back to the tab, you're able to click on the page and the tab is instantly reloaded. It is also easy to configure the extension's behavior for individual pages, so you don't suspend a particular page that you don't want to have to reload. I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, he says, and can easily see the improvement in the performance of my machine. The feeling is backed up by looking at the processes running on both my work Debian Jessie desktop and my work Windows 7 laptop. Highly recommended.
Dude, I mean, you just like gave me the golden goose and said, "Here, run away with it." That's an amazing thing. I've got a very, very specific use case for this, and I'm all in on this. This is great. Basically, isn't this what Firefox does naturally? I've noticed in Firefox, if you're not, you can open a bunch of tabs, right? Like open 10 tabs, but until you click the tab, so it's a one use only, but until you click the tab, it doesn't actually load the content of that page. Once it's loaded, I don't know what it does. Maybe it continues to keep it live and, you know, any kind of live updates or whatever. But this is one step further and says, you know, if you're not going to use it for 3 minutes, basically put it to sleep.
Well, and I love that I get to pick how many minutes that is.
Yeah,
and I love that I can say, oh, but the Daily Tech News Show doc, don't keep that one live, because I need that one to keep updating.
Yeah, I'm installing this like at the minute we're done with the show.
Nice. Send your picks to feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, folks, and you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Okay, so yesterday I made a joke. And that joke was regarding fax machines, because Charlotte asked me, so who uses fax machines? And the only thing I could think of was when I was buying my house, and all the real estate agents required us to fax things. You couldn't do it any other way. So that's what I said. Renard wins the prize for being the first real estate agent to send me a correction. He says, you made the comment that if you buy a house, you have to fax. I run a boutique virtual assistant company, and all of my clients are in real estate. We most often use .loop.com, recently published by Zillow, or purchased by Zillow, and DocuSign for documents. We roll our eyes when fax is the only option. So there are plenty of exceptions to my joke.
My realtor buddy Andrew would agree. Part of it is he's sort of spearheaded going all tech, all digital as fast as we can kind of thing. So maybe he's an exception to the rule. Maybe there's a bigger body of these guys that don't. But he's gone this same route. When we bought our house 2 years ago, we specifically used .loop and DocuSign on his iPad and did.
Tells you how long it's been since I bought a house.
It's been a while.
Yeah. But Franklin said he had a good laugh at our conversation about fax machines. He writes, I work in healthcare, and we are frequently the last bastion of old tech like pagers, remember those, and fax machines. Among my responsibilities is the care and feeding of the Remote Report Distribution, or RRD server. On an average day, we send out more than 5,000 faxes containing patient results and other physician reports. Yes, we have more sophisticated digital tools, but nothing is as dead simple and secure as sending a fax to a verified telephone number. HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, makes it problematic to send out patient data in a secure fashion. A small-town doctor in the middle of corn country may have not had the tech savvy to use encrypted email, but they can plug in a fax machine and read a piece of paper.
Small-town doctor in corn country.
Now we're going to get an email from Dr. Daisy, my doctor in Southern Illinois, saying, we use encrypted email just fine these days.
It sounds like it's like a Reader's Digest story or something about that guy. I would like to read it. But I don't know, faxes. Isn't that the most hanger-on technology of all time that we just can't seem to shake? It seems like
if kids don't learn about faxes, they're just going to not be able to compete in today's business.
Thermal paper, baby. Thermal paper.
Oh, man, thermal paper was the worst, wasn't it?
Bad. It curled up. It was like if it got hot.
You didn't get your fax right away. It just became illegible because it got crumpled up. And
I noticed they still, like some gas stations, the pumps will still shoot those out for receipts, and you'll leave it out in cash and then come back later and it's black. And you're like, dang it, thermal.
Well, that is it for this episode of Daily Tech News Show. Thank you, Scott Johnson, as always. What's going on now that Nerdtacular is successfully achieved? What's next for Scott?
Well, the settling of the dust is happening, which is good because. All in the craziness of that, we also finished a Kickstarter for my comic collection from the last 15 years of my webcomic at myextralife.com. We finished out really strong. Huge thanks to everybody who supported that. And so this month is basically get all the shows done, and then everything else is focused on getting that book put together, finished, all the rewards that we've added to it, get those added in. and successfully push out to everybody the books they're waiting so nicely for. So huge thanks again to anybody who may have supported that, and I'm very excited to ship you guys.
I supported that. I can't wait to get my hardback book.
Thank you so much. It was super nice of you. I don't know why I scheduled it so closely to Nerdtacular, because it really made for a pretty chaotic few days, but I've learned my lesson, and regardless, it's something I've wanted to do forever, and I'm just stoked to do it. So thank you, everybody.
Well, for the majority of you who listen to this show for free, be sure to thank your local DTNS boss if you know somebody who does support the show, because they make it possible, and we thank every single one of them. If you want to know how to support the show, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support and join the ranks of our bosses, the people who get thanked. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can call us 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Listen to the show live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern at player.alphageekradio.com, and visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
3 out of 5 DTNS contributors represented at the end of every show. Actually, Brushwood isn't a regular contributor, but he's a regular guest. So.
Sure. He's always up for something.
Yeah.
Nice to see Justin's card game doing so good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I funded that, too.
I'm excited. Me, too.
That's a good game.
Scott, I'm sort of super sad that I missed the deadline to fund that book.
We'll still be, so we'll have some store stuff.
All right, so I can just buy it like a human when it comes out, right?
Or I'll just use you and your awesome husband to help me do some edit stuff on the final version.
Well, that is something we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do
we
that.
can do that. We're really good at that.
Yeah, because I'm writing a bunch of extra stuff for it that I originally wasn't planning on doing, and I don't want to sound like an idiot, so it'll help.
Great.
Well, that was a good show. What should we call it?
It was a good show.
Yes. Okay, let's go to Showbot.
That was a good show.
This was a good show. Listen to it.
Your use of literally is literally incorrect. This is a computer system. I know this. 3 seconds is a lie.
Yeah.
Long live literal literacy.
Lots of L's. Good. Zeladir, who has 2 L's.
Good alliteration.
Yeah.
Leave flicks, which I actually kind of like.
But like maternity leave. Got it.
Yeah.
Flicks.
Or mom flicks or dad flicks.
Right.
Facebook mentions influences. There's something in there. Teach a man to fish, PHISH.
Teach a kid to mouse.
Teach a kid to mouse.
Pretty good.
What is? I want to know what overclocking means, and I'll ask later.
It means modifying your chip so that it runs faster, is what it means.
It also means it runs hotter, so there's risks, but yeah.
I got it. Cool. Imagine there's a place called the internet. I like that. I want to do that ad.
I feel like we made real progress in your understanding of Bitcoin today.
Yeah, I do. Like now that you know what no one's ever said to me? No one's ever said it's another currency.
No.
And there's something about that made a light go on. I'm like, oh, well then okay.
But here's what...
It's the way you phrased the question that made me go, wait a minute. You're not thinking of it like this. I wonder if that'll help. So I'm glad.
To me, it's still like, someone's got a spreadsheet with a bunch of Bitcoins in it.
So, but here's my question about Bitcoin while we're figuring out what to pick and having people vote on it. So here's something happened to me where somebody sent me pizza Bitcoin amounts and I didn't know what to do with it. So like if someone sends you a Bitcoin, what do you do with it?
Well, did you click on that link?
I did, and I had to sign up for a bunch of stuff, and then I didn't understand what happened.
So what you don't understand is the company that's trying to do that. But the fact that it's Bitcoin is no different than if it was like 15 cents.
Right.
Right? All that's happening is a company is trying to make it easy to send somebody something on Twitter.
Okay.
It has nothing to do. That doesn't depend on whether it's Bitcoin or not.
And in theory, one day the conversions will be easy. So, for example, somebody in the UK sends me 12 euros. PayPal, when it gets it, says these came as euros. Do you want to convert it to dollars? And I say yes, and it's done. So
Yeah.
the theory is that you would one day that would start happening. Maybe even one day, PayPal and other, internet.
PayPal does.
Do
Don't
they
they?
do it now? I didn't know.
They might.
Maybe
Well,
they very well may. I've never gotten any, so I've never had to try it. But
the complicated things around Bitcoin are how do you keep them verified, right? Like if I store Bitcoins on my hard drive, how do I know they're still there? How do I keep them from being copied, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? How do I know about that? And so everybody tries to jump to explain that part. But I think what you revealed, Scott, and you too, Jenny, is that you have to get people to understand, like, these are just dollars. That's all they are. Mm-hmm. Like, the only thing that is different about them is how they're managed on the back end. So instead of, banks keeping a database that they verify, you've got this blockchain system, right? This distributed system. And that's the nifty part of it. But beyond that, they're just currency.
I feel like that's the problem, is they're explaining the nifty part first.
Right.
Which is nifty, but it doesn't feel real or applicable or all that yet.
And whenever someone says blockchain, my mind goes to sleep. I'm done.
Well, that's a disease. That's treatable through hypnosis and word disassociation.
Yeah. Blockchain.
It's her narco word.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to Porky Pig anthropological in the middle. Totally Porky Pig that thing.
By the way, I picked a title.
Okay.
I just did it. Teach a kid to mouse. That's the main topic. It's good. I like it.
Yeah,
and look, there's a kid we can teach to mouse right there.
Yay! Aw, Ellie Mouse.
Ellie Mouse. I like one of my favorite things about Daily Tech News is watching Ellie grow up day by day. Makes me very happy.
Ellie's our age. We will likely all be gone.
I know.
Roger may not, but
we'll be robots.
Yeah, Roger will live on.
I don't know about you, Scott, but I plan on sticking around for a while.
Well, good. I'm trying to think. Let's say she's, how old are you, Roger?
I'm 40.
All right, so 40 years, you'll be 80.
Yeah.
You'll be 41 or so, just.
I'm pinning my hopes on advanced age reduction therapies and treatments in the future.
If they do too much of that, we'll all be eating each other because we'll be out of resources.
That's the big one, and it may happen, but the truth of the matter is, outside of like this Indian subcontinent and sub-Saharan Africa, the birth rates on the planet are actually below replacement level at this stage.
It is low.
The problem is people have lived so long. You have this cohort that's growing up without people dying out at the phase that they used to. So you have this glut, you have this kind of bulge in the middle of people.
Yeah.
Just wait a couple more decades.
I have that same problem myself.
I was got a little block.
Bulge in the middle. I got that problem all over the place. Oh, Ellie, look at you. You're just the cutest baby.
You're going to learn how to type, and you're going to actually learn how to use a command line system, because that's going to be useful. Did you ever watch, remember those old Dilbert cartoons they made when not the cartoons, but the animated series?
Oh,
there was an episode where they had to get this one guy and they had to hypnotize him back into understanding COBOL, because all the old Y2K stuff, pre-Y2K stuff, was written in COBOL, and he was the only one that remembered it. So you're going to be one of those people that remembers how to type.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing. I've always been a little bit put off how people say, like, well, younger generations going to understand technology better. It's like, no, they'll understand how to interact with it in a way that we're not familiar with, because it's more natural to them because they're grown up with it. But growing up, I didn't understand how a tape recorder worked until I hit junior high,
right?
Or how a record play. Even though I knew how to use a record player, I didn't understand how that noise came out. They need to understand the underlying technology. They're also going to learn how to do plumbing, fix your car.
Younger people just pick things up faster. And younger people are also us. Like, it's not a separate species. Like, when we were young, we picked things up faster too.
Yeah, my parents said that. I say that about mine. Others will say that about them. It really won't be that different.
The thing is, when I remember when I was young, and my grandparents would be like, "Oh, you're so smart. You pick these things up." I always felt like, "Well, it's not that hard." And, you don't understand that you're picking it up faster when you're that age.
Yeah.
But definitely calculus camp.
Calculus camp.
Ah.
You gotta know how to F-disk when the zombies come. Someone knows how to do it.
You're going to have to learn how to rebuild society after it collapses.
That's right. Zero out hard drives. All that
I'm going to
stuff.
build one of the... What is the six...
I don't know what a master or a slave is. What do I do?
Oh, you'll find out if
If we have
society
alien
falls
overlords,
back.
yeah, you'll find out just right.
It was foretold in Mad Max in the subsequent sequels.
What's client-server architecture?
You just totally you just keep proving the point. Look at all the metaphors used for those names: master and slave, client and what'd you say? What was the other one?
Client-server.
Client and server.
Client server,
Like everything's got a real-world applicable thing that's just
parent,
a
child. When you
Parent,
develop the
male, female on cables, like
genders.
Yeah.
Computer was the name of a person who computing, and then an electric computer is what we call a computer now.
even this
Original mechanical computer, and then they had the electrical one. Like word
Yeah, you're
processor.
right.
Word
Mechanical
processor
person.
used to be a person who typed documents into a computer. That was their job. And then it became synonymous with the program.
I look at my mixer and I just think, well, that's just it's audio, but it's just talking about mixing things. Like all goes back to like basic human. So that's never changing.
That was came out during the Renaissance period. There was a guy in a robe who basically controlled the horn. No, it'd be kind of funny if he did. He would control the outlets of each of the horns of the band with a slider, and so began the trombone.
See, now you're doing the fake history podcast I want to do.
That's what I told. Didn't I tell you I
You
wanted
just
to do a
make up
podcast
explanations.
where you BS history, but you make it sound as
Yes,
plausible as possible. We went over this like a couple.
I
of
totally
months.
want to do that. I want to, yeah.
Yeah.
Now someone just invent the time turner and we'll be all set. Wait, what was my other thing I was going to ask? Oh, Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
So wait, I got to pull up the calendar again. Hold on, please hold.
Holding.
Your answer to our question is very important to us. Please hang on the line.
Or just say, hold. I hate those. I hate the voice ones. They don't work for me.
Nah.
Although Apple's works pretty good.
I'm going to try that again.
I wonder if there'll be that in the future when she's our age. Will there still be like an Apple PC, Windows, or is there just going to be kind of a universal Unix, and then you just pick your front end, your GUI, your Windows manager that
Right.
you use on top of it?
It'll all be in the browser.
Wednesday, August 19th, Scott.
Yeah.
That's when Tom's away again. Can you host?
I totally can. That's 2 weeks from today?
Yep, 2 weeks from today.
Should be fine. I tried to make sure all Wednesdays.
Awesome.
The only one that's not a thing anymore. Never mind. It's all good. August is good.
Cool.
What's the 19th?
The 19th is a Wednesday, but that's one of the days Tom's away.
Oh, is it when are you filming again, Tom?
Yeah. one
Yeah,
more.
we're doing the last 4 episodes of Connected Tech.
Okay. So you're gone that whole week.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. No, that's all good. 19th will
Cool.
be fine. As far as who, well, you just let me know who you get and
Yeah.
it'll work.
I get you a good one.
Okay. No worries. Never worried. I'm so much more chill now that my giant event.
Yeah.
Not near
Nerdtacular.
jumpy. Oh man, you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
So annoying. I did one of its lockups. Everything's frozen. Can't see a thing. Although my mouse moves and the little beach ball spinning. But and you can hear me, so obviously Hangout's still working. Like it's so weird. It's almost like imagine it's like going blind, but the way your blindness would happen is we're just working along. All functions are working except whatever screen where it froze. The screen froze, but all other things were happening behind everything. You just couldn't see it. All you saw was the last frame and you saw.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, no
you
problem.
hear us, but you just can't see us.
I can hear you. I can see you too, but just Tom's frozen face and your frozen face. It's as if, like a normal screen lockup is everything's frozen and nothing works, but the difference here is, which is why we know it's the GPU and probably a Thunderbolt problem with the display.
So you can't get like a replacement from them or anything?
They will, but it's a known issue across the board, and it's Yosemite specific, and what's not an issue in anything else. So the current thinking is that Apple and AMD are not getting a driver out for who knows why.
Probably because they're going to wait for you to update to El Capitan.
Probably, and the other talk is that if you upgrade now, it's fine. Like if I did the beta today, it would work, but I have other issues I got to watch out.
Can you imagine if that was a car?
Oh, dude, it'd be the worst. So
I know, Ellie, right?
I know.
I'm going to hold out till Happy Tan. If it doesn't work, then the heads are going to roll.
Way too much formula for you today.
Can you guys see me?
Yeah.
See, that's the other thing. All that stuff just keeps functioning. It's just the screen freezes. If I unplugged it. Hold on. I know that sounds like something.
All right. This may be the last we see of Scott Johnson.
Hold on. Let me try this.
No, I need to talk through that. I know it sticks out and you want to grab it.
I want to take your face off, Dad.
What are these black things you have on your head? Oh, Jiminy
Hey, that's good
Crickets.
for me.
This is not part of your natural body. Get rid of it.
Dad, I don't.
What just happened?
All right, hold on. Did we?
That was Scott.
That was Scott.
So that wasn't me.
Amazing.
No, it wasn't Roger. It just was looping you.
Oh my.
Oh. Is he being funny or is that just?
No, that's.
No, he went to unplug something, and whatever he
broke
unplugged
the internet.
caused that.
See, honey, in a couple of decades, these creatures might no longer exist, and you won't know what it means.
Oh my God.
I can bring it back too. Oh no, it stopped. I don't know if Scott is frozen though, or if he just hasn't come back yet.
Whew. I mean, if someone played that to me over and over and over again, I would tell them anything they wanted to know.
I would just go remix.
Yeah, right. Holy gosh.
You should sample that.
Yeah, where's Neshcom?
I
We
know.
need him.
I was like so glad, Tom, that you tried to yes and it, and I was just like, I can't hear that noise. I liked it.
Have you seen the Yes and episode of BoJack Horseman yet?
No, not yet.
Season 2.
Okay.
It is a Scientology/improv comedy episode.
Oh, you have sold me.
And the title of the episode is Yes and.
That's great.
Okay. Well, that's it. I've been out of the post for a while, so everybody have a little pleasant day, and we'll see you tomorrow, wherein Justin Robert Young will teach you the secrets of life.